Yeah, you can just leave that there. Welcome to Youth, everyone. And if you are technically in Merge, you get a double welcome tonight. We're glad you guys are here. It's going to be fun. We're going to get right into some fun things tonight. First of all, my name's Cynthia, if I haven't met you before. And we have some amazing leaders in the room. And we have our guest leader, Jeff. Jeff, raise your hand. Jeff's the best. And if you were recently in Merge, you also had Jeff as a leader, and he is amazing. But we're getting into some announcements. The first one, VBX is happening end of the month. We have youth next week, and then we have a 2-week break. So be here next week, and then we're going to take 2 weeks off because one of them, we're going to be here for VBX. It's going to be really fun. And I'm excited. The one after that is for the 4th of July, so we're just not going to be here. Second announcement that's really important. The countdown to sign up for camp has actually began a few weeks ago. So July 1st, anyone know what day of the week that is? Because I don't. July 1st. It's like, does anyone literally know? I feel like, let me see. It's a Monday. July 1st, the Monday after VBX, is the final day to sign up for camp if you have not yet done that. And after the deadline has passed, we can't bring any more kids with us. So if you have not signed up and you know you're going, sign up before July 1st. If you need a scholarship, scholarships are available for everyone, so don't feel like you might not be able to get one. We're going to give them out because we want everyone to be able to go to camp who can go to camp. So it's going to be great. Next, we're going to get into the question of the week. Now, I'm just going to explain it to our friends who are visiting tonight because, you know, it's important that they know what this is too. Each week, I ask a random question. The first student to run, walk, jump, skip, crawl, whatever you want to do, to the front and has the correct answer to the question wins a gift card. Now, last week, Kenzie won, and it was a little bit of rivalry because we were talking about basketball, and, like, no one knew the exact answer except for Kenzie. Kira, she won. Okay. Tonight's question of the week. You can use your phone if you want because you're not going to find the answer online. Tonight's question of the week, you might just have to take a few guesses. What am I getting / what are Lenny and I getting Pete, my husband, for Father's Day this year? If you think you know or you want to take a guess, you can run up here. Anyone is welcome.
Nothing.
I wish, but no.
A gift card.
That's a good guess. Not a gift card, though. Anyone else? You can keep guessing. You can also try it the first time.
Stuff.
That's not specific enough. What are we getting Pete for Father's Day this Sunday? I will make it worth double, so it'll be $20 gift card if you can guess it correctly. Normally give out 10s, but tonight, since it's Father's Day week, we're doing... I can't answer that, but you have to compare for it to count.
A mug.
Not a mug. Good guess, though. He doesn't like coffee unless I would have done that.
Tea.
Not tea either.
Flowers.
Good guess, but no. Good guess.
Clothing.
Not clothing. It does start with a C. It does start with a C for anyone who's wondering. Don't break your ankle, please.
Cake.
Not cake.
A cat.
A cat. No. Great guess, though.
Clothing.
No. Close, though. Good guess.
Golf clubs.
Golf clubs. No. That's what he would want, but let's be honest, those are expensive.
A card.
No.
A car.
No, but that's a good guess. Mariah, do you want to guess?
A cake.
I wish. Not a cake. Jonathan's just on fire here.
A thing that'll make him cry.
A thing that'll make him cry. Not that. Not chocolate. One more guess and then I'll give you guys a hint.
Candy.
Not candy. Okay, so it starts with a C. The second hint I'm going to give you is... How do I say it without giving it away? It's like a box shape.
Is it drums?
Not drums. Good guess. Micah, do you want to guess? Okay. It starts with a C, and it's like in a box shape. It's not like in a box, but like the shape of it is kind of like a box. Mariah?
Krusty?
Good guess, but that's not it either. You want to guess again?
Giant chocolate in box, and if you open it, it's hard.
I wish. A big giant chocolate, I wish. Okay. We're getting to the end here.
A cardboard box.
No. I feel like you guys need another hint. Y'all, once I say it, you're going to be like, oh, that's so obvious. Every dad would want that.
A cooler.
A cooler. Way to go, Kate. Kate for $20. Find me after service. So the story behind the cooler is that he works at a job where you bring your own lunch in a cooler, and his cooler is falling apart, and so he asked for a nice cooler. Do you guys know that if you go to the store, do you know what the brand Yeti? Everyone know? You guys, their box coolers are $250. Are they worth it? Yeah, they're worth it? That's wild. See, that's the problem. He doesn't need something that will keep it for 3 days. He just needs like 10 hours. So I don't know if it's worth my money. But great job, Kate. You will definitely get the prize for tonight. Okay, we're going to get into tonight's game. For tonight's game, you need to be in groups of a max of 4. So you can be minimum of 2, 3, or 4 people. If you're in groups of 4, it would probably be to your advantage because you'll have more people to try guessing the questions for the game. So you're going to get in groups of 4, and then you're going to just find different spots in the auditorium to stand with your groups. So everyone can stand up and get in groups of 2 to 4, depending on what you would like. And you're going to find a spot in the auditorium to stand. Okay, so we have, are you 3 in a group? Okay, you guys can more just a little bit. Are you 2 in a group? Luke and Nick, are you guys in a group? And Tendo, okay, you guys can go over here a little bit more. Are you guys like 1 group, 2 groups? 2 groups, amazing, okay. Michaela and Maria. These 4, those 4. Okay, amazing. For this challenge, this is a challenge, and everyone in your group will win a prize. You can also have a choice of winning the prize that I have in my office or a gift card. So you can decide at the end of this what you would prefer. Now, when I say this game is challenging, I'm not lying. This is actually a pretty challenging game, and so I'm going to go pretty easy. I want the answers to be really close. They don't have to be word for word, but really close, okay? So if you are in a group, you're probably going to want to try standing like in this front section now that I see all of you guys. So like stay in your group together, but you're going to want to be a little closer because you're going to have to run up and say the answer for this. So what's going to happen is a picture is going to go on the screen. Everyone say a picture. And it is going to be of something considered vintage, which means old. The first person to run up and accurately tell us what that item really is and what it's used for will win a point. You guys are responsible for keeping track of your points. Winning team will win, okay? Obviously, winning team will win. Wow, Cynthia. Okay. So you need to tell us what it is. Now, some things I'm kind of looking for specific. Like you can't just say, oh, that's a phone. You need to say what kind of phone it is. And then obviously, well, you know, what do you do with the phone? Okay? So let's put the first one up. If you think you know it, you're going to run up here. Don't grab the microphone. Once you're first in line, I will give you an opportunity to say it. Also, if, let's say, Toby runs up and then Tendo's like, oh, Toby's there, I'm not going to try it. Still stay in line because if he gets it wrong, you get the next chance to try and guessing it. Okay. First one is describe it and how would you use it? But like that's kind of obvious.
It's a phone and you use it to talk to other people.
Okay, but it's a certain kind of phone.
Rotary phone?
That is correct. It is a rotary phone, which means you would like twist it to the number you want. So imagine trying and dialing like a large digit number. That would be complicated. 1 point for those boys. Okay, now you guys know it. Next one, please. What is it and how would I use it?
Cassette tape, and you use it like you put like little things in it so you can like hear stuff. Like, yeah, listen to music. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me just. Okay, she said it's a cassette tape and you use it to play music. That's right. I'll give it to Kate. It's a cassette tape and you use it to listen to music. Has anyone ever held one of these before? Trey has, obviously he knows. A lot of you guys. Okay. Let's go to next question, please. Oh, whoa. Okay, we're going to give Jonathan a try first. I sadly don't even know the name. Hold on, Jonathan. Okay. Jonathan, what would you say this is?
It's like a timer, and like you flip it, it's an hourglass. So you flip it, and how much sand's in it depends, and it measures the time.
I'm going to give it to Jonathan's group. Well done. Okay, let's have everyone back up a little bit so we have a little more fair. Maria, that also means you too. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next question, please.
A typewriter, and you like type like it's a keyboard, except it prints it out onto a paper.
What is the answer? That is correct. Anyone ever used one of these before? Just for fun? They're not fun. What if you mess up, then do you have to rewrite the whole letter? That's dumb. Thank the Lord for technology. Okay. Make sure you're keeping track of how many points you have. Next one, please. Jonathan, do you really know? Do you want to take a guess? Okay.
So it's used in vehicles a lot. Usually, it's like a megaphone to the dispatch, and you use it so you can get in contact with anybody. This is usually found in the 1970s stuff.
He's got very specific years. I'm looking for a specific name. You describe what it is really well, how you would use it, but I'm looking for a specific name. I'm going to give them a chance, but you can get in the back of the line if you'd like. Okay.
Like a radio or a stereo, and basically what he said, you can just like talk to other people around the world and stuff. Well, not necessarily around.
So you did say radio, but there's two letters that describe what kind of radio it is. What'd you say?
FM or AM.
Not that. I've never heard about what kind of radio this is before. So if you guys don't know, if I don't know if you're gonna know. Two letters. It's a two-letter and then radio.
Is it to talk to other truck drivers around you?
Yes, but we're looking for the name still. Blank radio.
SC radio.
Nice try. That's SG. That's not quite right. Micah and then Toby. Or I guess you guys are on the same team.
A TX radio.
Not that. The first letter is what my name starts with.
CB. Radio.
It is a CB radio. Anyone? Jeff, do you know what that really is? CB radio? Yeah. Something broadcast. I have no idea what it stands for. Walter, what does it stand for? Citizen band. So this is what cops would use? No, citizen band. That doesn't. And truck drivers. Okay, CB radio. That's interesting. Okay, give your guys yourselves a point. Okay, we're gonna do a few more. I guess I don't know how many we have left. Next one, please.
This is a thing that you use to. Oh my.
Okay, so get back to the line. You can try again, Maria.
It's a sewing machine that you use to sew clothes.
Yes, it is. It's an antique sewing machine. Way to go, Maria. Anyone ever sewed before with a sewing machine? That probably looks a little nicer than this one. Okay. Any group have 2 points? Any group have 2 points? No group has 2 points. Okay, this will be the tiebreaker. Last one we're going to do. Everyone back up. What is this? I don't know what it is, so I have to look, you guys. That's embarrassing. I'm so sorry. I had to have it on here.
It's a It's a step meter, and you step on it, and it measures.
That it looks like that, but it actually isn't that. It's okay. Get back to the line.
It's a CD player, so you put a CD in it, hit the play button, and it plays that CD.
There's a specific. The word is so obvious.
A Walkman?
No. It is a CD player, but there's like a specific name of what kind of CD player this is. I'm just looking for one word. So you can take it with you. That's like the word, but it's fancy. You can take it with you, CD player. It's not a boombox. Do you know what kind it is? It's okay, it's okay.
Compact CD player?
Not compact. When you can take something with you, what is it considered?
Portable.
Yes, it's a portable CD player. A portable CD player. You guys won, yes. Find me after service. Everyone can go sit down. When I told you guys that would be challenging, it was, because I didn't even know what most of those items were, unfortunately. Well done, Kate's group. Well done. Okay, we're going to get into the second part of our series tonight, and then we are going to break off and do a few different things, depending on what group you are in tonight. So last week we started a series. If you weren't here, I'm going to catch you up really quickly. Luke, are you okay with that basketball, or do we got to? Okay. Last week we started a series on the life of Joseph. Everyone say Joseph. And Joseph's life was very complicated. Everyone say complicated. And we learned that Joseph was very loved. He was very favored by whom? His dad. He was dad's favorite. And his father showed him favoritism by verbally saying he loved him the most out of all of his sons. He made him a fancy robe, and Joseph wore this robe, and it became very obvious he was the favorite. And one day, so I'm just quickly recapping you, one day Joseph was then sold by his brothers. Raise your hand if you have a brother or two. He was sold by his brothers into slavery, which is complicated in itself. And once Joseph was sold into slavery, he ended up in a place called Egypt. Everyone say Egypt. And there's some interesting parts about Joseph's first part of his life in Egypt, and we're going to quickly talk about those tonight. So, if you have your Bibles, or if you want to reflect back on after tonight's message, we're in Genesis 39 and 40, and we're going to kind of just go through the story together. But Genesis 39 and 40. So, when he arrived in Egypt, as was when he was with his brothers, he was favored. And so very quickly, the highest man in power in Egypt, his name was his name was Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's official, one of his guys that had a lot of authority just like him, his name was Potiphar. And Joseph was sold to Potiphar, and Joseph quickly became favored. It was obvious that the Lord was with Joseph, and Joseph was very wise. And so Potiphar, even though Joseph was his slave, Potiphar gave Joseph quite a bit of authority over his household. He basically said, listen, Joseph, you are my slave, but I'm going to put you in charge of basically everything in my household. You're going to be able to have power and authority because I just trust you. You're the guy, and I appreciate what you can do. So the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered. And while he lived in the house of Potiphar, Potiphar saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord gave him success in everything he did. So Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Now, last week I said it was going to get spicy. It's going to get just a tiny bit spicy, not a lot spicy tonight, okay? But while Joseph was in Potiphar's house, everyone say Potiphar. Potiphar had a wife. Everyone say wifey. Wifey. Potiphar's wifey saw Joseph because remember, he lived with them. He was like all there all the time. He was doing all the hard work. He was taking care of their house. Potiphar's wife, we don't know her name, but she saw Joseph, and she saw that he was a very handsome and strong man. Do we have any handsome and strong men in the room? Wow. Yes, only a few. They raised their hand. That's why I said only a few. Oh, okay. But he was a very strong and handsome man, and Potiphar's wife saw this, and what did Potiphar's wife do? asked it as a question, but I'm actually going to answer my own question. Potiphar's wife saw that he was handsome, saw that he was strong, and she's like, I want Joseph. Now, if you're a 7th grade or older, you know what I mean by she wanted Joseph. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So here's what she did. And now remember, why was Joseph so favored even in Potiphar's household? Because the Lord was with him. And so as Joseph was there, Potiphar's wife, she wanted him. She wanted him. She wanted him. She kept begging him. Y'all, she kept begging him. Now, if you're older than 7th grade, you know what I'm saying. She kept begging him. And you know what Joseph kept saying? He kept saying, no, I'm not going to, even though you really want me, I'm not going to give myself to you because guess what? I am a highly respected man and I honor God with the choices that I make. And so Joseph was an honest man and he refused to give into the wishes and desires of Potiphar's wife. So here's what Potiphar's wife does. How many of you know when a woman doesn't get her way? I'm just kidding. Don't raise your hand. Do not raise your hand. Nobody raise your hand on that. You're going to get in trouble, okay? Potiphar's wife didn't get her way, and so do you know what she decided? She's like, I'm just going to get rid of Joseph. He's not giving me the desires that I have, and so the only way that I can really move forward from this situation is to just get rid of him. So one day, Joseph was in the house. Potiphar's wife approaches Joseph again, saying, please, I really want you. And he says no. And while he's fleeing, because he's like, I don't want to be in this room with this woman. I don't want to be around her. This woman is not good for me. If I get in trouble, like, I'm out of here, like, right? Like, I could lose my job. I could lose this favor that I have in this household. So Potiphar's wife, she took the cloak that Joseph had, that he was wearing, and you know what she did? She made a story. She made up a story about what happened. So that when Potiphar came home, she told Potiphar that this Joseph, the man that he loved, the man that was favored, the man that was trustworthy and noble, he tried to hurt her. And he also, remember, Potiphar's wife kept his cloak. And so the story, it made sense to Potiphar. It kind of added up, like, oh no, he tried to hurt you. You have his cloak that he left behind. And do you know what happened next? Potiphar believed his wife, even though she was deceitful, even though she chose to lie about Joseph. And she basically made Potiphar put Joseph in a place called prison. Now, how many of you know Joseph is innocent in the story? He did nothing wrong, and yet he found himself in prison, which stinks for him. But check this out in Genesis 39. But while Joseph was there in prison, everyone say prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. Y'all, not only is Joseph favored by his father and by his parents, Joseph is then favored by Potiphar, who he is technically a slave, but he's still favored. And then he gets accused of something he didn't do. He goes into prison, and now Joseph is also favored by the prison warden, the person who is in charge of all the prisoners. In fact, Genesis 39 tells us that the warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. Basically, he was a prisoner there, but he really wasn't a prisoner because the warden let him do things he technically wouldn't be able to do as a prisoner because he had favor from the Lord. Now, if you remember from last week, if you were here, what happened to Joseph when he was with his brothers, when before his brothers even hated him more? He had two things happen to him. Does anyone know what they were? Micah. He had two dreams. And in each of those dreams, even though they were different scenarios, he basically said that his brothers and his family would bow down to him. So from a very young age, it says the age of 17, Joseph was considered a dreamer. He had dreams that God would give him. Now, fast forward, Joseph's in prison for nothing he did wrong. The favor of the Lord is upon him. And these two men come to prison, and guess what? They each had dreams. Okay, raise your hand if you had a good dream last night. Anyone? Raise your hand if you don't remember your dream last night. I don't remember anything about what I dreamed about. Okay. Two individuals who are in prison with Joseph have dreams. Do you know what happens? These individuals, they tell Joseph what their dreams were, and Joseph interprets for them what their dreams mean. Okay? Now, I'm just going to pause and say, I'm going to say this very nicely. Just because you have a dream at night does not mean it has a significant meaning and that that's going to happen, okay? I just want to say that because sometimes people have dreams and they're like, God told me this or this is going to happen, and then they kind of live in fear or they assume things. I just want us to be careful that just because we have a dream doesn't always mean that it's something that's going to happen or we're going to interpret it to mean something specific. But these two men, they have dreams, and Joseph correctly interprets those dreams, okay? So they tell him what their dreams are. He tells them what the dreams mean, and the very thing that Joseph said would happen based on their dreams happened to each of them. One of them was killed. That was his dream, that something was going to die, and he gets killed. He's gone. The other one gets moved to higher power in the palace of Pharaoh. Everyone say Pharaoh. So Joseph becomes known quickly as someone who can interpret dreams. He accurately tells people what's going to happen based on the dream that they had. So here's what happens next. Wild. Joseph, even though in prison, he's favored, so he's technically not a prisoner, but he still has to stay in prison. He correctly interprets these dreams. And then the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, he finds out that this man named Joseph is in prison. He finds out that he can interpret dreams correctly. And Pharaoh himself begins to have dreams. Now, something that's important for all of us to know, that in the time that this book was written, in the time that this account happened, dreams did have significant meanings. And if you had a dream, especially if you were a king, the king assumed that his dream would mean something. And so Pharaoh, he had these dreams, and nobody in his palace, nobody who was fancy pants, who had high authority, or who could interpret dreams, none of them could tell Pharaoh what his dreams meant. Did you know, Ryan, that if Pharaoh had a dream and he said, can anyone tell me what this means? And if Ryan was like, I'm going to take a stab at this, I'm just going to tell the king what I think his dream means. If you were to tell him what his dream meant and that's not what actually happened, you would then be gone. Okay? So you didn't just try guessing what a dream meant. You had to really know from the Lord that this is what the dream meant. So Pharaoh can't find any single person to tell him what his dreams mean until he hears about this guy named Joseph. Joseph is requested by the king to come to his palace. Joseph goes to the palace. The king tells him about these two dreams that he had, and Joseph interprets what they mean. Like, he's like, I am confident, Pharaoh, these are what these dreams mean. And Pharaoh's like, okay, I believe you. Like, I believe that what you tell me these dreams are going to happen, like what's going to happen, I believe that they're going to happen. And here's what Genesis 40 tells us. Can we find anyone like this man, Joseph, one who is in the Spirit of God, one who the Lord's favor is upon him and God is with him? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, after he accurately told him what his dreams would mean, since God has made all this known to you, all these dreams that I had, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. Do we have any wise people in the room? Okay, I like it. I like the confidence. I like it. Seth is wise. We'll have to have a panel one of these days with questions for Seth to answer. Okay, no one is as discerning and wise as you. This is what Pharaoh, you guys, this is like the president telling Tendo this, okay? Like, he has the most power in this place. Since God has made this known to you and you're powerful and wise and discerning, you shall be in charge, Joseph, of my palace. And all of my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. Joseph went from being a foreigner, being sold as a slave in Egypt, to being the second most powerful man in the place of Egypt. And why is this? Because the Lord was upon him. Now, even though this sounds really great for even though this sounds really great for Joseph, life is still complicated. Joseph may be the second most powerful man in authority, but he still has a broken relationship with his family. By the way, at this point in Joseph's story, Joseph's father thinks Joseph is dead. He thinks he's gone. He thinks he got eaten by a ferocious animal. He thinks that he is dead, okay? So even though Joseph has this amazing position and people are respecting him and he has authority, I'm sure he has to be a little sad because not only can he not celebrate this good news with his family, his dad thinks he's dead, okay? Joseph's brothers, his own flesh and blood, his own family members, they sold him. So yes, this is exciting for Joseph. He has power, but life is still complicated because even though all these people respect him, the people who should have loved him the most, his brothers, betrayed him and sold him off into slavery. Even though Joseph has a lot of power and authority, life is still very complicated for Joseph. And if you're here for our final week of this series, you're going to find out that complication, it kind of butts head in his story, and something happens with Joseph that really kind of puts the cherry on top of it. So even though life seems great, it's also very complicated for Joseph. Raise your hand if sometimes life has, to other people, your life might kind of seem pretty cool and rad and amazing and like you got things put together, but there's some complications happening behind the scenes that maybe not everybody sees. Okay? A lot of us would agree with that. There are two things I want us to take away from tonight's part of Joseph's story, okay? When life is complicated, like it is for Joseph, the first thing I want you to remember is don't lose the remote. Don't lose the remote. Listen up. When Potiphar's wife really wanted Joseph, Joseph chose to not lose the remote and take control of any desires he might have had himself. When life is complicated for us, there are a lot of things we actually lose control of, but the opportunities and the things that God still gives us control of, like our attitude, our self-control, our ability to still love people even when maybe they have hurt us and they've made things complicated in our life, we still actually have control over quite a few things in our life. And Joseph chose to not lose the remote. He kept control over any desires he had. He kept control over letting any unforgiveness or bitterness at this point in his story overtake him. He kept control, and he allowed the Lord to use him in the different ways that he was able to interpret people's dreams. Raise your hand if you have a remote control for, let's just say, a TV, a gaming system, anything in your house. You have a controller, right? Raise your hand if sometimes like one battery goes out but the other one stays. So like, how do I say this? Sometimes the button works and sometimes it doesn't. Does anyone ever else have that problem? Okay, just me, great. So we have a Roku at home. Anyone know what a Roku is? Okay, we have two remotes for our TV. One of them works perfectly. The other one is like, it kind of works, kind of doesn't work, okay? Every time I went to go watch TV, I would grab the remote that kind of worked but kind of didn't. Like some buttons would work, sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And do you guys ever have that moment where you get into your living room or wherever you watch TV, you sit down, you get your like blankets on, you get all cozy, you have like your drink, your beverage, your snack, you're going to watch a movie. You literally get in that position of, I am so comfortable right now. I'm just ready to relax. And then you go to use the remote, you go to find your phone, whatever it is, and it doesn't work or it's not there. And you're like, I just got so comfortable and now I have to get up and go find the actual remote that worked. How many of you know that little kids like remotes? I was trying to watch my show the other day. Lenny had the remote. Next thing you know, the TV just goes black, goes off. I'm like, seriously, this was a really good part. I really wanted to keep watching it. But all that to say, remotes are important. They turn things on, they turn them off, they put the volume up, put the volume down, pause, play, all the things. Joseph chose to not lose his remote, and he kept control even when he was so tempted by things that might have seemed amazing in the moment that would have actually complicated things later. Can you imagine, Lucy, what if Joseph would have done what Potiphar's wife wanted? Would that have made his story more complicated later on? Yes, it would have made his story very complicated, and he probably wouldn't have been able to become the second most powerful man in Egypt. Last thing I want to leave you guys with tonight. Even though years had passed since he had those dreams back when he was 17 years old, I'm not convinced he ever forgot those dreams. Because those dreams, when he told it to his family, his dad kind of scolded him. He's like, you can't actually believe that your brothers and I are going to bow down to you one day. So he had to remember these dreams that he had had. Moving forward to being a slave in Egypt, do you think when Joseph got to Egypt and he became a slave, do you think he ever once thought, one day I'm going to be the second most powerful man in this place that I'm actually a captive in right now? He probably never thought he was going to be the second most powerful man, okay? But I'm convinced that he never forgot the dream that God gave him, that one day there's going to be something better than what I'm experiencing right now. And when Joseph was in prison, remember, even though he did nothing wrong, he was still in prison. He kept moving forward. He didn't allow himself to think, man, my life, man, my dream's never going to happen. He kept moving forward. And here's what I want to remind you guys of tonight. Sometimes in life, when life is complicated, you might think, man, what did I do wrong? Why did my parents decide to end the relationship they had for a long time? Why did this person who I thought loved me, who's kind of just a jerk, they wanted to use me, why did they break my heart? Like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong to have this happen to me? What did I do wrong to have this happen to me? Joseph, similar to Joseph, he did nothing wrong, and yet he was still found in prison, and he kept moving forward, believing that the best was still ahead for him, that God still could do something beautiful out of what the brokenness that he had. And so I just want to remind you tonight, especially for those of you who are older and are going to go into small groups in just a few moments, remembering the dream for us can also mean just continuing to look forward. Sometimes when we dwell on what's already happened to us, the heartbreak, the things that are unfair, the things that are complicated, it can get us angry. It can build up unforgiveness. It can be really hard to look ahead to know what God is still going to do. I just want to encourage you that when life gets complicated, remember the dream, keep looking forward, and keep knowing that God still has some good things coming. And if you get caught up in the past and all the complications, it can be really hard to see the good that's going to happen in the future because God's best is still ahead for you. So I'm going to pray for you guys. We're going to do something a little different tonight. So some of you are going to meet into small groups, and then another group is going to kind of meet in a big group for something else. But I just want to pray for you guys before you get dismissed. So would everyone stand up? And then we are going to get ready for the next thing. So if you guys would bow your heads with me. God, thanks for tonight. Thanks for these students. Thanks for the life of Joseph and what we can read about him in the Bible. We all know that there is some part of our life that has been complicated, and maybe it seems so unfair, and maybe it has just been a heartbreak and a really messy thing. Lord, I just pray that you would encourage these students to control what they can, even if that is their ability to have self-control when they really just want to let everything out. And I know that it can be so tempting to do. Lord, I pray that you would help them remember the dream, that there are important things that you have in their future for every single individual, from the youngest to the oldest, God. And I just pray that you would remind them of that. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen. So to give you guys instructions for what's next, if you are in 10th, 11th, 12th, or if you just graduated and you're a guy or girl, you're going to go into your normal small groups tonight. So Ian's going to take the guys. Amazon is going to take Kira, Lucy, Bella. Yeah, you guys go with Amazon. So I'm just going to let you guys quickly leave. Sydney, Kate, and Callie, you guys would also go with Amazon. So you guys go ahead with her right now. Everyone else is going to wait here. So we're just going to let a few people leave first before we go on to what's next. Amazon, could you come here for a second? Sorry, I got to remind you of something.